Okay, welcome. WeRelate is a very nice, wonderful little item to help you work collaboratively with other people across the areas that may or may not know you and will help you in your family research, or you connect farther down with other family members that you've been searching for and didn't know they were out there on the internet anywhere. WeRelate is a public wiki where anybody can share their genealogy or just certain pages. It's your choice. You can contribute to pages and images. You can also edit other people's pages if you have new information. And please note, this is not a replacement for the standard desktop genealogy program. It's just a free way of putting your tree or your information out there where other people can do it also and share with you the information. And currently, as of October, when I started to think about this program some more and revise my previous presentation, they now have over 3 million people pages, which are individuals or families and images, and over 47,000 family trees or pedigrees. You can create a free account. It's WeRelate.org is the main site to go to. You can create an account or you can register. It doesn't take that long. You just put in your name, your email, create a password, whether or not you want to put a different name there, an unusual username or just your regular name, it's your choice. And then definitely say you're not a robot. You create your account and you're all set to go on searching or adding. Okay, so I'm signing in. And so right now I'm overviewing, and on the screen, you have at least a way of doing tutorials, or they call them tours. You can get some video tours and they're telling you how long the length of time is. They also have a tour on wiki etiquette, creating and editing your pages, and importing a GEDCOM file, which means if you're going to take everything off your software program and put it in here, you can. It just takes you a little longer because it's got to download, and then you got to go through and see if you left some living people up there, and then you got to make corrections, duplicates, whatever. You have a few steps to go, but it's not that bad. I've done it. There's text tutorials that helps you, gives you an idea of what a family tree explorer tutorial is, personal pages, family, your images on a page, how to research areas like places, names, and sources out there on WeRelate. And then your little area, like a dashboard out there on WeRelate since you created an account. Okay, so I'm right here at the search. You can put in all kinds of different things, but there's also a drop-down box. So you can choose any of these topics on here, but the most ones that I use are usually person, family, images, sometimes an article. You might want to know more about something that happened, or like possibly part of the French and Indian War, or the Salem witch trials, or the Mayflower pilgrims. Those kind of topics, you might be surprised if someone wrote an article and has it out there for you. Some of our previous GEMS articles I had put out there, and then I quit doing it because we've been updating our GEMS article faster out on our site. So you have a few of the earlier versions out there in 2 different locations to grab. And so you also have a help page that talks about the search fields, your modifiers to help you locate some modes in searching results. Okay, so I decided when I located my second great grandfather's death record, it listed his father as Willard and his mother as Sally Evans. I had seen in a history book it could have been Thomas. But when I did this search, I decided just to search Willard Church and Evans. I didn't put any dates in. You can, if you know of some of the dates, to get it down to more. But as you search, it'll come up with a listing of results. Well, at the time, the family person page that I have for Willard only comes up once. And it's Sarah Evans. His father is Isaac Church and Eleanor. New to me at the time when I located this. So it's like, okay, I'm going to be heading backwards now. I'm going to be moving one generation at a time. How far back will I go? So when I get there, then I'm searching for a family page. I'm going to show you the various search pages, so that will help. And I decided, okay, Thomas Stacy, another second or third great grandfather of mine, his wife's name was Mary. Well, there's two Thomas Stacy's here. One says Mary Bonner and one has unknown. Well, I do know one of his children is William. Well, there's two of them here. So I'm going to take the second one because my mom believed it was Bonner. So I'll be connecting to that later, and we'll show you some other pages as we get into that more. And now I'm searching for an image. Well, I decided to search for funeral cards because I wasn't sure how some people would title it. But this one is of my great grandmother. And I put it, as Edith Church funeral card because it wasn't like a mass card or anything, but it was just a card. So I did a search on that. And this is what came up, the actual image file. And down here, you can download a high resolution of this version of the document. And there it is, Mrs. Lou Church and the date she died. It doesn't give a birth date, but this is the second funeral card I've seen of this type. Another one was done about 18 years later for another ancestor in this line. So, and it was mostly with gold print. This one is not a gold print, but it's the actual card where you can actually see the full image and be able to read it. And it's something that for those who don't have anything regarding proof of death of a relative and stuff, these images are a great resource to add to your genealogy itself. Plus, if you use these pages and connect your family in, you can add more details and stories to the page. But it's nice to search to see if you have family out there that will work with you. This one is about the French and Indian War. And then you just click on the little title and then this page will pop up. Another thing is to be adding the pages, and you must be signed in order to add people, family, or images into WeRelate or any of these other items that says add to. You must be signed into WeRelate in order for it to be added to the account. You can't add anything if you're not in the system. You can select a person, you enter known information. You cannot put initials or middle names in there. They only want the given name and the last name. And you can also add the birth and death year that you know. You must put in a gender, whether or not it's male or female, in order for it to be considered a page and to be saved at a later time. So I decided Josiah Sawyer. He is a farther down relative that I just learned about, and I went to find him. I knew it. I found some information out on Ancestry saying he was born in Massachusetts. He died in New Hampshire in 1813. I do have what his daughter's name was, so I knew who it was when I went to search. He's not in here. Because he's not down here in the results, I get to add. So I'm going to hit add the page. And then another adding that I've done is to double check what should you do if you find out he's already there. Well, with Jacob Tinkham, he's already out there by somebody else. And so all I have to do is come down to Jacob and then open that account and continue working with it, see what they have. And you also get added to a watch list if you create pages, or you can add your name to a watch list. If you find that you've got family member out there, you can add your name to a watch list, and it will let you know when there's new pages being edited in there, or if other people are adding something that connects. And so, okay, so here's Joseph Butterfield, and here's the on watch. So if I'm here and all of a sudden I find out he's not really mine, I can hit the on watch and my name will disappear. And then you can add new information, images, sources, spouses, parents, siblings, stories. This is a great way where you can add more information, like where were they living? What kind of records are you finding? Maybe some hearsay stories that someone had mentioned and that you just want to get it out there. Okay, so now I'm going to add John Holtz, the actual individual that I have recently confirmed he is a relative. I've been looking for him for over 25 years. He's a missing grandson based on a probate. And when I first found him, they listed his grandparents as parents. It was a DNA find just a year or so ago. So when I double checked to make sure I was following the right person, I wrote back to the person whose DNA it was and told her how I figured out who it was and how they accidentally put grandparents as the parents, because mom and grandma's name was Catherine. The father's and grandfather's name was August. They just had different maiden names for the mom and grandmother. And so this is the basic information I added. And these numbers here are the sources. You always want to add sources so that you can tell them where you found it. And so I've got him added. I knew him as Jacob off of probate. Then I found out it was John. The church baptismal had him as Joseph Leo. And the person who I contacted, because he was born in Lidgerwood, I started with that church, and then I thanked her because she couldn't find it in records. I said, well, I'm going to contact St. Martin. Well, in the meantime, she had contacted them and then sent me back an email confirming that he was actually in the records over there, which helped. And I thanked her again for the wonderful information. But this is what a page looks like when you're done adding information to. And so you get the source numbers up here, and you can use the same source for more than one. They come down here under references, and if they're used more than once, they give you an O or a 2.1 and stuff. You could have 5 different facts in there with the same reference. They're just going to put it together and telling you how many times you've used it. And then my next step for me to do is to add him to his mom and father, which are going to be new pages, and then connect them to his grandparents. Another one that I was going to have to add is Josiah and his wife, Hannah Going. They don't have a marriage record in there. So then when I do that, I can put in a marriage date and everything else when I have the facts in, or just list how I know that they were there. And then this one here is one of the family pages I was working on. And this is that Willard and Sarah, but they have no children listed out there. So I can hit add child. And the minute I do that, well, they have one in there because I connected it earlier. It's Isaac, but I can add the rest of their 6 children. So there's a total of 6. I have one here that I found on a Bible page that I can add and then put the source that it was the Bible page on someone's family tree. And I have double checked records and stuff and have proven it. So I can add the other 5. So you would just add child there. Or if you needed to, you can click to the parents page and see what kind of information is missing that you might want to add to. As you notice, this person has not added any sources. So I can go in there and say, okay, that marriage record, I can fix that question mark to say where the source is because I've located it. I can say where I found it, what record, and get that corrected. And then I can go in and start searching and verifying that, yes, he was born in Brookfield, Massachusetts, and what records it is. And the death record would be correct based on what I found out there on Find a Grave. But then again, I would have to cite Find a Grave and explain that I would need to look to see if there's any wills or any other papers or maybe an obituary proving it. Because in Indiana, death records didn't start until 1882, and I would have to find something else to help me to verify that information for both Willard and Sarah. And so when I click here and I want to add the child's name, I could type in Othello Church, select the male, and then I can hit next, and then it will do a search. And if should there be anybody already listed there, they're going to list all the Othello churches there. And I can decide if any of them match the information I have, which keeps you from duplicating. They try not to have duplicates in there. And should there be duplicates, you can always merge the duplicates later. But basically, this is to help say that we're making a joint effort. And maybe I have a cousin out in Vermont that's doing some stuff and she's putting things in at the same time I'm putting things in. Well, we don't want to add extra facts or people, then that's what's necessary. So it's a nice way to have your name on a watch while you're doing all this adding of information. And so every time you add or edit, you're going to want to save your file before closing it. Otherwise, it will not take. You must save your file before closing it out under any kind of changes you do. And so I'm adding the sources of one regarding Josiah Sawyer. And it's stating the notes, this is coming from Find a Grave, that he was the son of Henry Sawyer and Sarah Nurse, and that he married Hannah Going. So those are at least 2-3 people that I need to help look for to verify things. I did find his and Hannah's marriage records. That's going to help me when I add more information. But this is all from one source. I can add a comma behind the S1 and start doing an S2, and you can keep going that way. Or if you're adding more information and you already have so many source numbers, you just go to the next number. So if there's like up to S6 right now, you would go S7, and then you can add the information. So like on the burial, if I knew the date, I put the date on it. I already put in the cemetery. So if you know the cemetery and not just the location, that helps too, because then people will know if I want to go visit that grave site, I can go to Germany Hill Cemetery there in Sharon, New Hampshire, and actually see his tombstone. Or I can go to Find a Grave and find his tombstone also. I haven't proven it yet, but he's supposed to either be a Revolutionary patriot or he could have been in the Revolutionary War. I think more or less he was a patriot, but I need to find some information and kind of prove that. But I heard mention somewhere that he was a patriot. So that's another task to go on. And so that could also be added in your stories, is that at this time, story is, or rumor is, he may have participated in or whatever, because that gives you a clue that someone needs more research and they really, really need some help. So in your little personal history and stuff, you can add information in the personal history of information that is needed verified, or the family story has it that this happened. Alternative names, if you notice, sometimes those are going to be wonderful, especially for married women, because you can put in the drop down, select married name. You might have a nickname that you always find them under on several records. So you're going to want to add the nickname there. That will help other people researching to say, ah, they've got this many different ways of spelling his name. They might have some misspelled names that might help, plus the baptismal record, or the names you find on various types of records. Whatever name you find on any records, you might want to add that into the alternative names. Like with married name, you might have it like Clara Tuish in there, or you can put on it Clara Tuish and then say she was married. Or you might find it where every time you find a record, it's Mrs. Anton Tuish. So that way you know that a Mrs. Anton Tuish is actually the one you're looking for, possibly, depending on how common it is. So this one is with Antonia, which has also been known as Antonina. Her last name, Turchin, is spelled at least two different ways. The CHIN I found in the US. The CZYN I found in West Prussia. This is her married name. This is her second marriage name. And somehow I come across an Antonia Agnes Turchin as on a record. So her middle name might be Agnes, which will help me looking for some other names. But this gives me all the names I might find this woman under in my records here in the US or even in West Prussia. Image files. You can add image files into WeRelate. They must be a PNG, GIF, JPEG, or an SVG, no TIFF. Also under images, you can add documents, but they have to have a text file, PDF, or Microsoft Word doc, or an Excel spreadsheet. So these are items you could add, like if there was someone gave you a story and you didn't want to really retype it all, you can scan that in as an image to put into your file. Or if you have a nice spreadsheet giving them maybe a timeline or even some comparison. When there's like a conflicting thing, you might say some conflicting issues regarding this person, and you might want to say why you believe this is yours. You can do a spreadsheet file saying this is the document, this is the information, what's correct, what's incorrect, what might be proved by documents, actual documents, and what might have been determined based on information you might have found, especially when there's not an actual document, but based on your theory and your research, what could have came up as proof, or enough to think that you believe that's the person you want. Those little kind of files you can put in there, and then later on when you find out you might have had the wrong person, you can remove a lot of that information, and you might put on a comment in there saying, I had previously had the following info in there. We found out that it was conflicting and that there's two extra people that were similar and they were all in the same area, all born within a year of each other. And we struggled and we finally figured out who belonged to who. And so you took away some of the documents and added them to another person. That way people can't say, wow, what's going on? And then when you add images, you're going to select add image. You got to open a file, and they want no spaces between the words. Should you want a space between them, you're going to do an underscore mark between there, because otherwise it won't accept the image. And then while you're doing it, you must choose some kind of a license. This field must be filled out. And at the bottom, there's like something about the other license. That's where you can type in saying not too sure about the actual date of this. That way it will be, the image will be selected and be able to be saved. And then when you do it, it says you can connect more than one person to it. So if it's a picture of a family of 8, you can connect every individual in that to that image. You can also connect maybe more than one family. If it was like a reunion and you had 3 or 4 families there together, you can put that on their family page so they can't have to go hunting and stuff. And then you want to make sure when you get with the connections, you don't have to connect it during the time you add, but if you know the people that are already out there, you might as well do it. So that will save you time from going back to the image page and then copying and pasting it into the individuals, because they quickly search for these pages. You can do a brief text about the image if you know it's like a wedding or a photo, where it was located, approximately what year it was. Then you upload the file, and that makes the files, the image saved and ready to be used. And so when you get done, there's the upload part. So like the marriage record I'm putting in, I made sure it went to Willard Church and Sarah. I could put a text in here saying it was found in such and such an ancestry file, but I did that in the source part of the family thing. And so here is one of the images. And over here, it's telling you where the photo is connected to. You also have it where you can download the resolution. Should this be a file that you came across in the future, you can make a copy for your own record that's, that you don't have anywhere else. And so this is what it looks like in the image gallery. There'll be lots of thumbnails if you add more to it, because the images will get smaller as you add more images out here. And then when you import a GEDCOM, you're going to select Add, Import. You're going to search for your GEDCOM file, which you should have on your thumb drive or your laptop, depending on where you're working from. Where do you want to import it? And you click on Import GEDCOM. So I want to import it into a 2-ish tree, this one I was doing. So it would label my tree that when I import it. Message will appear on a screen. I tested this and then I deleted it because it was a quick little one that wasn't completely fully verified, so I removed it. But it says successful upload, and then it's told me it's going to be imported into my 2-ish group. On the bottom, I can separate all of the people I'm adding into different family groups if I wanted to. And a message will be on your dashboard, plus an email will come into your email address stating that your GEDCOM is ready to be reviewed. And so I have it here, and you can read the area, you can read your message, and you can take a look at it. It's going to tell you your next step to review. So you would click here to enter the program. Then it's going to show you some things to do. But then there's also a family tree underneath both the individual and family pages. You can click on it and this will appear. These pluses here means there's more information based on their children. And then there's more information over here, which means if you're working on one tree and you have your book with you and you want to work on several people and you're not too sure, you don't want to keep going back in and searching, you can just come over and click on these individuals here and actually start adding more information or editing. And it's a lot easier than doing a lot of searches. There's another one called PEDIGREE map, which will also be a way to navigate between the different generations, and I'll show you that later. For editing, it allows you to update, add new facts and sources. You can make corrections, especially if the different census records shows different birthplaces and stuff. You might make a comment. You're not too sure who gave the information, but as you found the actual birthplace, it helps you to verify where. I had one that had it where he was born in Belgium. He was born in the Netherlands. He was born in Holland. After he died, his wife said that he was born in Germany. And I thought, what? And I've come across the records finally. He was born in Luxembourg. I found the actual record. I have the actual document. So I can go in and in the personal history and stuff, I could say, I've been told through a virtual program and stuff, Luxembourgers will always say that they were either from Belgium, Holland, or the Netherlands. And sometimes they may also say Germany. So if you get a lot of variety of locations, you can take a step to look at a different country, because Luxembourg was taken over partly by the Netherlands, Belgium, Germany, France, based on history. But I had come across it only through a Google search and found a letter back to Luxembourg from this second great grandfather's information to his brother. And it was like, whoa, And then I heard a talk years later regarding this is what Luxembourgers do. And you can always report those in your little story part, so people can understand why there's confusion in your information you're giving. And this is a great way for collaborating, because then they could go check the area where you found some actual documentation after all the conflicting information you find in birthplaces. Older children might say, oh, mom and dad, they came from New York. He was born in New York. No, well, no, he might have been born in Vermont. They moved to New York, and then they moved into Michigan. And, you never know where some people might think. They might think, well, our family's always lived in Michigan. Everybody was born in Michigan. And all of a sudden you find out they're from Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and everything else. So this is ways of correcting some of the information you're finding, is to edit things and put things in your story part. So when I'm editing people, you can go in and make your changes, cite your sources, and then you have to remember to go down and hit save. But to edit, the button is right underneath the person where you see history, rename. You can rename a title page if all of a sudden you found out their name was actually spelled this way. You can rename the title page, and then you give a little reason for renaming it before you hit save at the bottom, and it will correct that page. And so that you don't have to do a duplicate or anything else. So the renaming is another feature. There are so many wonderful features in here. I can't tell you all of them, but there are a great amount. There are trees here. The trees are the ones that you list at the bottom, as you can see down here, farther down, that I might have said Church, Shuey, Butterfield, Bosley, Porcheron, Beausoleil. Those are the different names of groups of people I'm researching with the surnames. And I can make it where underneath when I hit the trees, I can select a certain surname, and everybody with that surname is going to be popping up, so I can see the different things. And over here, they also will give you areas where they might have lived in at one point when you're doing a search on people. Underneath here, it says Emmer. They were in Remerson and Wheatfield. I haven't put in the New York census yet, which will show them in Wyoming County, New York, which will let you know these are areas where that family has lived in. So you can go back and look for more information. So there's a lot of nice ways of having all kinds of information tucked on a WeRelate page that is automatically moved there that you don't have to touch. And so underneath the more, you can delete. Maybe you put an extra person as a spouse and you come find out they were never married. Well, you can delete it. And in your reason for deleting it, you could say, never married, had the wrong person. And you can do it. There's two ways of deleting: a speedy delete, where the administrator takes a look at it, determines whether or not you can delete it. Or if you've got the wrong person to that individual, you can delete that piece. There's a pedigree map that has lots of features. You can email this page to you. If you found something on WeRelate, you can have that page sent to you. You can find duplicates in case people accidentally added people not realizing yours went out there already. That's why you always want to search first. You can compare spouses. If all of a sudden, that's usually sometimes during GEDCOM and stuff, you can compare spouses and it will show you pieces. Or you could even print the page. So those are some features underneath the more. So here's what a pedigree will start out with. There are lots of little squares going over. So when I click on Clara, all of a sudden, all her children for, this is Clara, well, this is Bartholomew's and this is all his children. These are his two spouses. And this is confusion because both of them are Antonina. So you have to make sure that her children are all underneath her. And then Antonia, the second wife, had 7 children. And then when you click on it, you're going to see this information. And when you click on it again, you're going to get a few more details. But right here, you can see there's birthplaces, death places. There's also marriage places. There's also an all places. And so, but when I click on just Clara itself, you're going to get this. And when you hit more, there's, it's just going to get to another part of the screen that gives you a lot more details of information. And then the thumbnails are going to show you this, which is every surname, and under there, individuals from that surname is going to be listed. I show 16 people totally that is connected to Bartholomew's. But if I add more children to his children, there'll be more than 16 showing up because all of a sudden they're going to be popping up underneath their surnames. And so like if I clicked on Stephen because I was checking some information, here's some basic information saying where he died, where he was born, when he was christened. And then there's, of course, more. And then all of a sudden, where'd it go? Okay. You get his page here. And then there's a story here regarding part of his death and stuff. I wrote that in 1895, I found him still living in the area near his mother. And then all of a sudden in 1900 census, he's in Milwaukee and then he disappears. Well, years later, I found out he died in 1901. I got the story. That went in there too. His name got spelled 3 different ways. And I put in there each time what kind of a spelling in the story that said exactly what happened to him during his time of death. So you create your little stories in there to help people to say, how did she find that information? Where did she get it? And then there's details, and then you get them all listed here. And again, Bartholomew, and this is what his is. I recently found his parents, so I can add that to him now. Underneath more details, you know, if you're like deleting again, you got to confirm the deletion and the warning. And then you can hit delete your page. The speedy delete has a special template. This comes up, gives you instructions. This area here is what you're going to be typing information in, and then the administrators will decide. Comparing spouses, you're going to get 2 boxes. Anything in the green box is they match. Yellow boxes, they slightly match. The red box means there's different information, and which information do you want should you merge them. Okay, then we have a lot of help pages. There is so much out there that really can help you walk you through the various areas of this free website. WeRelate is a wonderful thing to go to, especially when you're working as a group. If your historical society is maybe researching everybody who lived in a specific area during the early areas, timeframes, each person can take an individual and put them in there, and you can connect them underneath a certain group and stuff. And it's the best way to share and not duplicate your work, because you can go in there and you can search and look and say, oh, wow, you know, she's already got this information. I found the sister to this person. I can connect to the parents and stuff. And it will really help. It's a best way of working together as a team to share, whether or not you've ever met the individual or not. It's a great collaborative effort.